In the journey of life, there comes a time when the path grows dark, when every prayer seems unanswered, and the weight of silence feels unbearable. In those moments, faith becomes not just a belief, but a battle, a struggle between despair and hope, between the longing for certainty and the uncertainty of the unseen. There once lived a man named Eliab, a humble carpenter in the quiet hills of Galilee. His hands were strong from years of work, building homes for villagers who trusted him with their dreams and livelihoods. Each morning, he greeted the sunrise with gratitude, and each night he whispered prayers of thanks for the simple gifts: a roof over his head, the warmth of his small home, the laughter of his little daughter, Ruth. But one year, the skies grew mercilessly silent. A great drought spread across the hills and valleys. The river dried up, leaving behind cracked banks. Crops withered in the sun, and the scent of parched earth filled the air. The villagers grew restless, murmuring among themselves, fearful of the hunger to come. And worst of all, Ruth, Eliab's little girl, grew weak, her laughter fading as illness took hold. Eliab knelt by her bedside night after night. "Lord, I have walked in your ways. Why do you hide your face from me?" he prayed, voice trembling. Yet the heavens remained silent. No wind stirred, no cloud appeared, and no gentle rain fell. The silence was deafening. Weeks passed. His hope began to fade like the dying embers of a fire. The villagers whispered behind his back, "Where is his God now?" Eliab's heart trembled, not from fear of hunger, but from the gnawing doubt that perhaps God had forgotten him. One night, as he sat alone beside Ruth, watching her shallow breathing, a quiet thought entered his soul. Perhaps faith is not proven when everything goes right, but when everything falls apart. With trembling hands, he opened his worn Bible, the pages soft from years of touch, and his eyes fell upon these words. Nambar 1, Isaiah 41:10. "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Tears welled up in his eyes. He whispered, "Lord, I will not fear. Even if I lose everything, I will still trust you." And in that moment, something shifted within him. The pain did not vanish. The drought continued, but his heart grew calm, because faith had taken root where fear once thrived. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Yet Eliab did not surrender. Each morning he rose with the sun, scraping together what little he had. He worked tirelessly, repairing what he could, feeding what he could, and caring for his daughter with unyielding hope. Every splinter in his hands, every drop of sweat, every ache in his body became a silent offering of devotion. One evening, as the crimson sun sank behind the hills, Ruth looked at him with weak eyes and asked softly, "Papa, do you think God hears us?" Eliab smiled gently and replied, "Yes, my child. He always hears us, even when he whispers through silence." He remembered another verse he had once read, Nambar 2, Romans 8:28. "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." He realized then that the absence of answers didn't mean the absence of God. Perhaps the struggle itself was part of a greater plan he could not yet understand. That night, he prayed not for rain, but for strength to endure whatever God willed. And though the skies remained dry, his soul found peace. He learned that faith is not passive waiting. It is active perseverance. Each act of kindness, each moment of patience, each quiet prayer was a step forward on a path he could not yet see. Days later, a gentle wind stirred the air. Dark clouds slowly gathered over the horizon. Rain fell softly at first, then poured down in a relentless torrent, washing away the dust and despair. The river roared back to life. The earth drank deeply, and Ruth, little by little, began to heal. Eliab fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face, whispering, "Thank you, Lord. You never left me. You were teaching me to wait." He shared with the villagers, "Faith is not believing that God will do what I want. Faith is believing that whatever he does will be right." From that day forward, Eliab shared his story with all who would listen. He became known as the man who trusted through silence. He would often stand beneath the same old fig tree where he had once wept, speaking words of hope and wisdom to those in despair. "Do not give up when God seems quiet," he'd say. "Even silence has a purpose." Sometimes he prepares us in private before he blesses us in public. And then he would recite another verse. Nambar 3, Proverbs 3, 5-6. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Years passed. Eliab grew older, his beard turning gray, his hands worn but steady. Ruth blossomed into a woman of deep faith, carrying the lessons of patience, perseverance, and trust. Though they had faced hunger, loss, and despair, they had also witnessed the faithfulness of God firsthand. Before his final breath, Eliab called Ruth to his side. "My child, when life grows dark and prayers go unanswered, remember, when you cannot trace God's hand, trust his heart." And with those words, he closed his eyes, and peace, like a gentle wind, filled the room. Ruth wept, but in her tears there was gratitude, not despair. She opened her father's old Bible and read aloud the verse he had clung to. Nambar 4, James 1:2-4. "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." She understood. God doesn't waste pain. Every tear, every delay, every storm serves a divine purpose. She carried on her father's work, comforting the brokenhearted, helping the lost find hope, and teaching that faith is not a feeling, it's a choice. One night, she spoke to a weary traveler who had lost everything. "God may not always take you out of the storm," she said softly, "but he will walk with you through it." And she quoted her father's favorite verse, Nambar 5, Philippians 4:13. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." The traveler smiled through his tears. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of hope. And so, the story of a humble carpenter became a beacon for generations. Faith is not built on comfort, but on trust. Even when God is silent, he is never absent. Our prayers are never ignored. They are being prepared for the right time. Sometimes what seems like a delay is protection. Sometimes what feels like rejection is redirection. And sometimes what feels like silence is God saying, "My child, not yet. I am still working." So if you stand in the storm, weary and unsure, remember, you are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. God is still writing your story, and it is not over yet. One day you will look back and see every unanswered prayer was a seed of purpose planted in your soul. Every heartbreak was shaping you into the person you were meant to become. The same God who brought rain to Eliab's land, who healed his daughter, who turned silence into faith, is watching over you now. When the time is right, he will speak, he will move, he will restore. Until then, walk by faith, not by sight. Trust his timing, and hold on to the truth that his love never fails. Faith is not about seeing the path ahead. It's about trusting the one who lights each step. When God is silent, stay faithful. His silence is never absence. It is preparation for your miracle.